like a lightning bolt. You feel the ground pounding, that might be the coast. Quick like a joke, like to hit when provoked. Don't you doubt that. That's a Jaguar to a house cat. That's an outcast to a whole squadron. If you talking Houston, then we've got a problem. You'll probably get the horns if you mess with the cattle. Sit back in your saddle and get ready for the fan battle.
Welcome to the AFC South Fan Battle Podcast. I am Josh Allen. Yes, probably the best Josh Allen in Jacksonville, considering the year the other Josh Allen has had. With me today, we have Chris Jackson representing the Indianapolis Jeff Saturdays, Agent Ha representing the Bang Bang Mayo Gang, and Matt Briggs representing the only team worse than the Jaguars in the division, the Houston Texans. I'll be pulling double duty today. I'll be your host and your person making fun of the Jaguars a little bit later on. So what's up, fellas? What we got going on?
Misery. Pain.
Pain.
I feel great.
I bet you do.
Whether we're winning or losing, we're winning either way. So
I would just like to say very briefly, congratulations to all the Titans fans who literally started acting like their team won the Super Bowl after beating a drugged up Aaron Rodgers, 4-7 Green Bay squad. So congrats on that. Live it up, Pop the champagne. You've made it. It's going to be some of her AFC South fans. Come, Jay. Yeah, all of us, including Titans fans, are going to be hurting. Because,
Listen, I'm going to go ahead and take like a personal exception. And here's the thing, in the broad strokes of things, to just everyday person, yes, the Packers stink this year. It's a whatever victory, but I hate Aaron Rodgers probably more than anything in the world. Well, maybe not anything in the world, but he's up there. And my dad and best friend are big Packers fans, and God knows I didn't want to hear that for the rest of the year. So this is very much a Super Bowl victory for me personally. I thank God.
yeah, I get
so
it.
I will be talking with that sort of enthusiasm about this from here on out. I'm sorry, my personal feelings are going to spill over.
Yeah, I hear you. And I sort of feel that way about the Jags upcoming game against the Cowboys. If somehow my idiot squad can manage to beat the Cowboys, boy, will it avoid me some headache with a handful of people that I know.
Exactly.
Rabid Cowboy fans. So I get it to an extent. So all right. So where do we want to start? Do we want to talk about he who shall not be named? The
Jalen Ramsey?
No, the other one. His initials are AB. Anybody follow Antonio Brown on Snapchat?
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Antonio Brown has lost.
I thought.
his
Wait, what
ever-loving
are you
mind.
talking about? I thought we all decided to quit social media. Isn't that what the world decided? That
No one
Elon
decided.
took over, so everyone's jumping out. That's what everyone was talking.
No, man. Elon has brought chaos to Twitter, and I am here for it. I tell you.
That's what I'm saying. Everyone, Elon took over, and everyone decided they were going to quit, but then they never left.
Oh yeah, for sure. Everyone, it's the same as what we have in the AFC South Fan Battle group, right? Everyone announces their departure, and then you see them a couple days later popping off on a post, giving their opinion. But no, Antonio Brown apparently posted indecent pictures of Tom Brady's ex-wife on his Snapchat. What does Antonio Brown not have someone in his life that can say to him, bro, you need help? Because listen, I say this with all due respect to Antonio Brown. Dude is crazy enough that maybe he actually needs to be Baker acted and put in an institution and forced to get some help. He's Kanye level crazy at this point, just popping off.
Bro, at this point, if you're Tom Brady, you're whooping ass.
Don't you have to fight him? Don't you have to?
The gloves are off.
I'm telling you.
Do you have to fight him? Let's be clear. There's not many fights I know I would win, so I'm not fighting many people.
But I think there comes. Well, you got to do something, man. I don't know.
Right.
I guess you don't have to, but it would be, I guess, said differently.
Hey, that's his ex-wife. Maybe he's pissed. Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he doesn't like her.
Yeah,
maybe he's maybe he gave him to Antonio Brown.
Well, maybe.
I mean,
I didn't think about that.
Listen, we saw that video after the Super Bowl. She was up close and personal. It looked like there had been something happening previously. I don't know what they're into in the former Brady household, but
I don't want to know.
It looked a little suspect.
Listen, but this is how it works. All the fellows put their keys into the dish bowl. And,
Oh God! Oh Lord, we're going places. I'm just gonna say I hope Antonio Brown gets some help. I just think if you're, thinking from the aspect of that's also like Tom Brady has children with his, now ex-wife, just from the aspect of like, if your kids see that, like I don't know, man. It just Antonio Brown has turned into what I said a couple weeks ago, or like a month or so ago on the podcast. He's just a habitual line stepper. The man is just crossing lines repeatedly.
So when is it? So when is he going to start dating Julia Fox? When's that coming up?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like,
but here's the like, yeah, his kids are seeing this a bad thing, 110%. But like, look at all what Tom Brady's done for him, man. He brought him to the Patriots. He brought him to the Buccaneers. He let us stay at his house, which he probably did have sex with his ex-wife. Now everything's coming out. But he got him a Super Bowl ring. He got him paid. Like, dude, Tom Brady's done a lot for you, and this is how you're going to treat him? Like,
well, I think that it's been pretty well established for a long time that Antonio Brown is not a kind of person who is one for gratitude, expressing gratitude, showing grace, any of this. Like,
well, I will die on this. I will die on this hill. That hit by whatever the linebacker's name is,
Vontaze Burfict.
Yeah, that scrambled Antonio Brown's brain.
Yeah. It flipped it upside down, threw it out the window.
Here's the thing. Whether it did or didn't, I don't like this because that almost has like a hint of taking away accountability. Like, it's like, oh, but his brain's gone. So,
well, yeah,
no.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying.
I mean, hold on though. People have compared CTE, which is what we all assume Antonio Brown is suffering from, to things like schizophrenia, where your brain is functioning in a way that you can't control. So I mean, maybe there is an element of.
Do we know?
I don't know. I mean, it's all speculation.
We'll never know until he's dead. I mean, that's the only time they can really.
But have you seen the videos where they show Antonio Brown in interviews before that hit?
Right.
And
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that there's not accountability, but him before the hit and him after the hit are two different people.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing too is that I know that like compassion isn't like something that is like limited, but like when it comes to Antonio Brown, I have exhausted any kind of like compassion or like empathy for that individual. Yeah. He's treated people rudely, criminally in every way possible. I cannot stand hearing any more Antonio Brown news.
My favorite thing he did.
What's up?
Yeah, my favorite thing he did last week. Did you see when he released the text messages from Tom Brady and he was trying to paint Tom Brady like a jerk, and it actually was the total opposite. Yeah. Tom Brady was like, "Dude, please, I'm trying to help you." Like,
he's trying to like tell him like,
hey, maybe you should chill out.
Yeah,
but
I'm tired of Antonio.
The thing is, it's like I mean, at this point, it's like I think it's just attention. Like it's everything that's being done now is like you could say it's attention and cry for help, but I mean, there's always something. It's just like if he's not showing his dick in Dubai, then it's just like he's throwing a bag of gummy dicks at police officers and his babies and like his kid's child or his kid's mother. Like it's always something. And the thing is, it's just like this is just bringing attention to it rather than saying like, yo, you really need to like really get some help.
Here's the crazy thing too. Like when Tom Brady loses, he doesn't say nothing. But when Tom Brady wins, that's when all the stuff comes out. If you think about it.
But that's I think
Tom Brady did just win
into everything else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I think that just feeds into everything else. And I mean, this is the same man who, in the middle of Miami, Florida, in the summertime, like he was wearing a winter coat while he's performing on stage. Like
that stupid little fucking
Like
it sounds jealousy, but I'm with John on this one.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's a wild story. I don't know. Any other NFL news? I don't really think anything all that great has happened.
Melvin Gordon got waived. I think that.
You think that's the end for him?
I mean, didn't he? I could have read it wrong, but didn't they say he fumbled 5 times on Sunday?
You could say that for any week, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Like that guy.
He's had a couple games where he's had multi-fumble games.
Yeah, I mean, this is nothing new. Like he did that in the Chargers too. Like, what was it? I think it was like 2018, 2017. Like he decided that he didn't want to like sign the extension and he sat out. and that ended up making Austin Eckler step up and ball out, and the rest is kind of history for Melvin Gordon.
Yeah.
And it's probably the worst thing he ever did was sit out.
Yeah, it's some of those stories of, running backs, you generally see their performance fall off a cliff, right? They go from great to pretty terrible pretty quickly. I remember the other story. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
No, go ahead.
The other story, let's talk about the only person in the NFL who might be a worse teammate than Antonio Brown, Zach Wilson.
Oh,
this guy. And did you guys see his press conference after the Jets offense had more punts than pass completions?
Hey, listen, he might be my stepdad soon enough. You guys I can't talk
right.
about
Right. I understand. If you can't comment on this one, that's fine. And then in the press conference, and then they lost the Jets lost that game on a punt return for a touchdown to the Patriots. And he got asked if he thought his performance let down the defense and only gave up 3 points. And he gives a one-word response. He just says, no.
Yeah. Well, and then the crazier thing is, did you see Sauce Gardner?
The craziest thing is how much Mac Jones is going to get let off the hook for this.
Yeah.
Right. Right. There's no one's talking about his performance at all.
How could Mac Jones have that many completions? Like his completion to incompletion ratio was insane. Like he was like 22 of 27 or something like that.
Yeah.
And they didn't score any touchdowns.
How do you? Yeah, it's wild. It was a weird, wild game, and I only saw bits and pieces on the Red Zone channel. But it was wacky for sure.
Hey, is it safe to say that Justin Fields is the best QB out of that entire draft?
How crazy is that? Like at the beginning of the season, I wouldn't have thought that.
Dude,
Justin Fields, like
if you want to say that, I mean, he's not that good. Like,
well, I mean, the thing is, this is
plays with his feet. That's the only thing that
this is a draft that
I like
had
what
Lawrence.
I've seen out of Justin Fields though right now. Like it's that what I've been liked about watching him is the same reason why I love watching Lamar. It's, it's unconventional. It doesn't fit within the QB like position or whatever, but
he barely can throw the ball.
I mean, he statistically this year he's probably playing better.
He's definitely he definitely saved his job.
Yeah, I think he's bought himself at least another year. But I think you look at results on the field, I'm not sure the Bears are doing much better than the Jags, honestly.
Well, they're not winning games. That's the problem. It's like they've been competitive with the last like 4 or 5 weeks. Like they've been in those games, and
same story as the Jags. They're in the games. They're competitive. They just can't win them.
Same thing as the Texans. Yeah.
And then it's the same sort of asinine argument. Somebody put it in the AFC South fan battle group, a post either yesterday or today. I forget when it was, saying, "Well, the Jaguars have scored more points and given up less points than the Titans. So who's the better team?" And I'm like, you flipping idiot. The Titans, they're winning the game. Like,
shall I look up the standings?
Yeah, like it's just dumb. It's just dumb. So when people talk about Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence being good, they're not good until they win. Like I don't care what your stats are. If the team's not winning.
Stats are meaningful to help show ways that you can win the game, but if you're losing that most important stat line of all, which is the win-loss record, it is all for naught.
Yeah. But here's also some NFL news too. Darren Sproles came out and said that the Eagles want him to help out with the playoffs. He would come back and play with the Eagles.
When was the last time he even played?
2020.
Oh yeah, I was about to say 2 years. 2 years.
It's been a minute since they heard Darren Sproles.
I don't know. It seems like they're doing okay without him.
I mean, not just that. Their run game, it does need a little help, but I mean, I don't know from no 38-year-old running back.
Well, Marshawn did the same thing with Seattle. 2019, he sort of just came. I said, you know what? Look, you guys made the playoffs. You just lost your running backs. I'll come in for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, the craziest thing is, I didn't notice until they pointed out on the radio. He's 4th all-time yards behind line of scrimmage.
Who's Sproles?
Yeah, 4th all-time. That's crazy.
That's good. He was always useful everywhere. Was he San Diego, New Orleans, Philly? He was always useful.
All-time for the Eagles or all-time for the NFL?
Period. NFL. Period.
Wild. I would never.
Yeah, I know. That's what was crazy. And
he was slippery, man.
Frank Gore is 8. I thought Frank Gore was higher than that.
Well, he's number 3 on all-time rushing yards, right? But you're talking about all-purpose yards.
Yeah, all-purpose yards.
Yeah.
Well, Frank Gore should be up there. He's been in the league since like 1984.
Right. So like, yeah, Frank Gore is like number 3 on like all-time rushing yards, just rushing. But yeah, Sproles all-purpose yards. Like, and he was a good pass catcher. It's like there's a reason why, like, who is it? Like isn't Marshall Faulk number 1 or something? I don't remember. Like with all-purpose yards, like for running backs.
I want to say it's probably Falk, but I mean for Sproles it made sense because that was the same thing when Phillip Rivers came to Indy. I said Nyheim Hines is going to have a great year because Phillip Rivers loves the wheel route, and that's exactly what the hell he used to do with Darren Sproles. He used to always throw.
It's the same reason why I know that, like, same reason why San Francisco. It's not the same reason, but it's like when a player fits, like with Christian McCaffrey in San Francisco now, like is perfect for Jimmy Garoppolo and their head coach Kyle Shanahan. Like you have a quarterback that doesn't want to throw downfield, and we just use Deebo Samuel the way that Christian McCaffrey is utilized. Perfect. It works great. It's the same thing with Sproles. And it's the same reason why when Alex Smith went to Kansas City, that Jamal Charles was so good.
Yep, they go together like Urban Meyer and Josh Lambo.
Just kicking it.
All right, so let's get into the games for our stupid teams, and then let's get into the Jaguars didn't play game. Still took a loss.
Hey, we saw Josh Lambo this week.
We did see Josh Lambo. He was one and done for your team. Missed one extra point, and I guess you're kicked to the curb. But first, let's talk about our sponsor, Manscaped. Listen, if you've watched this show for any length of time, you know that we are sponsored by Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, use the code FANBATTLE. And get 20% off and free shipping. And at this point, if you don't do it, you hate us and you don't like our show, and you're just not a football fan. And I'm going to personally go down to TIAA Bank Field and get you a rat burger and mail it to your house.
Well, that or you just don't like taking care of your boys. I mean,
right? I mean,
do the rat burgers come with mail?
That's only in Tennessee, sir. We don't have mail.
Yeah.
And
out there, it's a possum burger.
Possum raccoon steaks and possum burgers. Go to Manscaped, use code FANBATTLE, get 20% off. Take care of yourself, right? And I'll just remind you, my favorite thing about Manscaped is the fact that they were founded with a mission to bring awareness to and help prevent testicular cancer. Right. So take care of yourself, take advantage of their products, and for God's sakes, use the code, get some money off and get free shipping.
And a great Christmas is coming up. A great
Christmas. Christmas. Yeah, exactly. Save a little money and then buy yourself something with the 20% you save, right? So let's talk first about my idiot team. Let's just get this out of the way, right? They deserve all the scorn that they're going to get. And I don't even know the exact here. I'll pull up the and there was a health inspection on November 6th. During the Jaguars Raiders game. This is during a game.
It's like a horrible time.
Yes. 129 violations at a total of 29 concession stands inside the stadium. Listen, I'm just going to tell you, I've been to TIAA Bank Field, and I don't think there's many more than 29 concession stands in that stadium. So this is a pretty high percentage of the concession stands in the stadium. This is terrible. This is awful.
They're probably counting like the little carts that they put outside selling like.
Bro, I'm telling you, 20, that's a lot. 29 is a lot. And here's the worst. Among the infractions were 2 dead rodents and 159 rodent droppings, and then 7 concession stands that had had expired license. I don't care about that part. Who cares? The government can go suck a lemon. Licenses are just a way to get taxes out of people. But how do you run a darn near $1 billion franchise and then allow the city of Jacksonville to have dead rodents and rat droppings all over the concession stands? And people told me a few weeks ago, I went to the Houston Jags game, and I bought food from a couple of the concession stands, and I talked extensively, I think, on this podcast and on the Jaguar about how the experience sucked. Like, it sucked. It wasn't good. The food wasn't good. It wasn't pleasant. It was just awful. And people told me I was being overly dramatic, right? And it just sucks because the team sucked and it was a hot day, blah, blah, blah. Well, apparently, it's not just me, right? Like there are some serious problems going down, at TIAA Bank Field. And just like I said last week on the Jaguars found a way to take an L when they're not even playing a game. And I don't understand like that. I don't know, man. I just don't get how it can be that filthy on game day.
I don't know. Like, I mean, call me crazy, but I would think that a place like a stadium that has hot tubs in it isn't exactly going to be the most sanitary place overall.
I tell you, the hot tub section is the nicest section of the stadium, though. That's what's crazy because the hot tub section, those tickets to get into like the pools and the hot tubs, those are like $2,500 a pop. Like those are like big deal, like expensive tickets to get into. I hear what you're saying though, but like surprisingly,
it's crazy that like.
I mean, I saw the rest of the stadium. It makes sense.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, the stadium with the 120 health code violations. It's just like, I mean, like at that point, it's just like you're exceeding Waffle House numbers. Like Waffle House, that they're just completely nasty,
bro. Listen,
you're just like, okay, that's
fine.
Listen,
there's some nice Waffle Houses
on the floor.
Listen,
you're in a Huddle House territory.
The places that have the best food are the ones that you don't want the health inspector going around.
Right, I was about to say, look, don't be knocking on the Waffle House, all right?
Like, no, absolutely not. Listen,
if it passes,
I don't trust it.
Right, exactly. if Waffle House passes the
fire kills any virus you're gonna get.
Yeah, I think who said it? I think it was Kev on stage. He's just like, if I don't see a film of oil and grease on the floor, I don't want it. Like, it's just like, I get that. But the thing is, it's just like, if there's notiable dead rats, it's just like, that's where I draw the line.
No,
like that.
The thing. So like, here's the thing, though.
So gross.
I used to work in the restaurant industry, and I tell you, most of these health inspectors, they're not doing a lot of digging. They just walk through and look around. That's all they really do. They look at your license, they walk through. So what does that mean? That means that the dead rats were somewhere easily visible where many people would have probably seen them and just been like, well, I guess there's a dead rat here now. They just did nothing. They just let there be a dead rat just where they're making food and where they're preparing food. And the thing is, when you go to some of those other like greasy spoon places, like the food is actually good. The food in the Jag Stadium sucks. It's awful. It's not good. It's not worth the money that you pay. And we're also known for, I don't know if you guys remember, back in 2018 when we had our first playoff game in I don't know how long, the stadium introduced teal beer and teal buns. And they gave these like super like spruced up fancy looking pictures. And then you get there and the buns, it was just, it was terrible. It was just awful. So this isn't the first time that like we've had an embarrassing concession stand issue. So
the bad thing is too, is like they charge $20 for that food.
Bro, it's crazy.
Yeah, like come on, man.
Yeah, I mean it's a stadium. It's a
well, I get that.
They're gonna do it. It's like going
that.
to an amusement park. You get $30 for a freaking snow cone.
Like I'm not just saying here to brag, but when I went to the Texans game, I got some nachos. It was really good nachos. Like I didn't mind paying $15.
Yes, but did you go through and see if there were any rats? Who knows? Like, have we gone through the other stadiums? Do we know yet? Maybe Jacksonville's his number. Like maybe they have the least amount of dead rats. I need the report of all the other stadiums.
That's what we need is an end-of-year dead rat ranking.
Let me tell you something. I've been to Nashville. That stadium doesn't necessarily look like they're probably housing 0 dead rats.
That Nashville stadium looks old on TV, and that's bad because the stadiums always look worse in person.
They have 0
on television.
They have 0 dead rats. Now dead raccoons, they probably have a whole crap.
Considering the mascot, it's just like that's animal cruelty.
Yeah. Right. It's protected by law. They can't do anything about it. They have to.
All right, so who's next? Who do we want to talk about next?
Let's do it. Let's go
Titans or the Packers? All right, the only victory Monday among us. The Titans wallops the Packers. There's really no other way to describe it. Agent Ha, what's your take on what happened?
I think some people would be surprised that they beat the Packers. Maybe not everyone, right? It's not necessarily a shocking upset. Would you agree? It's not necessarily.
The Packers.
What
is
shocking is the manner in which they did it. Did any of you having Tannehill going over 300 yards and only 5 incompletions
And Cheeseburger
screwed up
Eddie
my
getting
ticket.
100 yards.
Did any of you I don't think anybody expected that. Like, that was the biggest surprise of it all. I mean, the only thing more surprising was the DUI the next day, I think.
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, yeah.
That's probably it. Like, the defense is banged up. The defense has been really good, but there was a really banged up defense. And this is the Negatron section. Okay, I'll get to the positive in a second, but the Negatron section is that our defense didn't play well. I think that the Packers receivers were there. Rodgers was just terrible. Like, this is Rodgers' problem. This was Rodgers' fault. I know that he probably blames somebody else, which is one of the reasons why I hate him, because he'll never take accountability for himself. Much like Antonio Brown, probably a little bit more. He's probably less blatant about it, but that guy missed people all night, right?
That's where Zach Wilson's learning it from, not taking any accountability.
Yeah, but I don't know what to be expected. We lost to Nico Autry early. Simmons was on a bum ankle. I didn't have Bud Dupree. I mean, they're not, and even the secondary, even the secondary was like on replacements, and our secondary isn't really that good either. So I shouldn't be surprised. I think that going forward, like, I don't know how healthy they're going to be going forward, but I think what Green Bay did with the running backs, so you're going to expect a lot of like sweeps and like those wheel routes, because the best way to go against us with your run game is to just get to the side, because we're going to stop the run. How weird is that was their goal, was like, let's stop the run and let Aaron Rodgers throw it, and that was effective on defense because the guy just missed his receivers.
It's crazy,
right? Yeah, in 2022, the defensive strategy was we're just going to let Rodgers throw, and it worked. That's how bad Aaron Rodgers has been this year. But offensively, it was. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Offensively, it was. I couldn't. It was also quite shocking the way that Tannehill was hitting his receivers and the way that receivers were getting open. Like, everybody had a pretty good game. I mean, for that, like Treylon Burks, it was nice to have him back. Like, he didn't do much against Denver, but Denver's a really good secondary. They have a really good pass defense. But Treylon Burks was getting separation. Nick Westbrook-Akina, Austin Hooper, finally, he's strung together some really good games. The last 3 weeks, Austin Hooper's made some clutch catches. I'm glad they've kind of turned away from Swaim as of recently and gone with Austin Hooper, because that's why we brought him in. We brought him in to be that third down guy. He's making those plays. He's making the catches. Chika Okonkwo has been my favorite rookie so far. He's been surprisingly good. I really thought Kyle Phillips would be the rookie breakout, but it's been Chika Okonkwo. Yeah, it was a good team win, which was very surprising that the offense is the one that really like dominated the game.
So I got a question for you. Did y'all like ban the cheeseburgers from the stadium so Burks can have a game, or
he was on cheeseburger probation? Until
he came in over. Yeah, that was back in training camp. The guy's got asthma and he was a little bit overweight, but I think it was just something with going on IR. Maybe they just really restricted his diet when he was missing time. I don't know.
It's all fun and games until you realize that they have a bunch of pictures at Krispy Kreme that says "Do not serve this guy within a 50-mile radius."
He's not allowed. Do not recommend. I hope it's a sign of good things to come on the offense. However, our offensive coordinator, I don't know what the future looks like. Whether this is suspension immediately, whether it gets taken care of the offseason. I think this is something that maybe he gets suspended like 3 games or something. I don't know for sure. I don't really know what that holds, but.
I don't think so.
But the only concerning thing is that I think that if Todd, and I hate to say it as much as I hate Todd Downing, if he is not doing play calling, I think Tim Kelly is probably who we go to. That's probably about.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, like I know that Matt is you got a lot of positive endorsements for Tim Kelly, but yeah, I hope that this offense.
That's what we're calling him.
Yeah. I hope that the offense is like turned a corner, but again, that's one example out of a whole season of offensive disappointment. So I tend to think that that's not going to be the case, but I'm just surprisingly hopeful.
I think Todd Downing getting drunk, getting a DUI is just more proof that the Titans won their Super Bowl.
That's the other thing. Listen. Todd Downing called the best game of his career. So let's listen to guys. And that's it. I can't understand. So they had to have been drinking on the plane, right? Like with just the timing of it all. Like the plane lands at like 3:30 a.m. and he gets pulled over at like 4:30 a.m. Like he's doing this on the plane, right?
You gotta wonder, did he piss off? Did he piss off like the highway patrol and
they said he was going like 116 miles an hour or something like that.
Well,
they said he was going over 100.
Yeah.
So you probably would piss off highway patrol.
Well, the thing is, like, I don't. He might get suspended for a game or two, but it's nothing like. Thank God he didn't hurt somebody else, you know.
Oh yeah, no, nobody is endorsing drinking and driving by any sense of the imagination. No. It's a stupid mistake that he made, and he should be punished for it. I'm just talking about how this affects the team moving forward, and I don't really exactly know.
Tim Kelly, come on!
I haven't seen much follow up of whether or not this is something that they address like immediately, or if this is something that gets done in the offseason. I don't really know. Everything that reports I've been hearing is that like. They've said that like 3-game suspension, there's like rules, but then they like whoever it is, whoever's talking about it, like whatever talking head on the shows, when they talk about it, they always say like, well, 3-game suspension. And they throw in a bunch of like caveats that like gives me no clarification on it. So who knows?
Is there like a bargaining agreement for coaches or like an appeal process?
I don't know. Cause like everything they've talked about is talking about players. I don't know what the coaches like. Yeah, you would think it's the same thing, but they have their own union, don't they? Like they're not part of the players union.
No, they're not part of the players union. But I wonder if they have a union contract, because you don't hear about like coaches ever like the union talking about holding out or going on strike or whatever.
I believe that the coaches are handled more so internally by the actual organizations. Yeah. So I don't know that they would necessarily like. That's why you don't necessarily see like any of those coaches, like even going to the Brian Flores situation, there was no union. He had to actually seek outside legal counsel, and he had to speak with the league office because of the fact there was infractions that were done that affected the team outside of what they normally do.
If you're a former player or not. I mean, like Mike Vrabel, he's a former player. He is.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know what I don't know what the Titans sort of like things on. Like, let's say if it is this something that Vrabel is going to be looking at? Is this something that J-Rob's going to be looking at? I don't know. I don't know who's going to be disciplining him. I don't know when it's going to be. I don't know. I haven't heard anything that's a clear-cut answer. You would have thought if it was taking place immediately, it would have happened already.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they may do one of those things. I know that even with DUIs, like the court process, like it's still a actual crime that you're charged with.
Yeah,
yeah.
So they may just be like, oh, we're gonna let it play out in the court system before we decide.
Well, yeah. Look at that Brett Reed, Andy Reid's son. When was the Chiefs and Buccaneers Super Bowl? Like 2 years ago.
It was 2020, so it was in February of 2021.
Yeah, that was 2021.
Yeah. So a year and a half. This guy's been waiting to have a trial. So, I mean, it's going to take a while.
Yeah, the legal system is its own thing. It's just whether or not, like, here's the thing. It's like the league doesn't have to, the league or the owners, they don't have to wait until the legal process is over. They can just be done with it right now. Like, they don't have to.
Right.
But his legal problems is a whole other story, which we probably won't hear too much about. He'll probably get some community service this way, that way. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think, listen, just the cynical person in me thinks that the team will probably wait and let that legal process play out before they take action because the Titans are a playoff contender this year.
Yeah, I mean, right? Who was it on our defense? I can't even remember who it was on our defense last year who got he got in a fight at a gas station after a game, and it wasn't until the offseason that something actually happened. Right. Yeah, I can't even remember who it was now. It was somebody important, which is why I was like, oh, well, then this is probably why they waited, but I cannot remember who it was now.
Yeah,
I want to say it was Bud Dupree, but I don't think I'm right on that.
No, Bud Dupree was Walgreens.
No.
Walgreens.
Yeah, okay. Walgreens. No, there's somebody. No, was it Evans? Was it Evans?
I think it might have. I know Mike Evans did get into trouble at some point.
Not Mike Evans.
Rashad Evans.
Maybe I cannot. Yeah, either way, I can't remember. Either way, this is like.
That's the problem.
Like, leave it to my team to have like a victory that I can't really nitpick too much, and then open the door for me to complain about him for way longer. So I'm going to complain about Todd Downing for longer than the game, which was a resounding victory and personally, I get to just shove it in the face of my family.
And as awful as what Downing did is, the Titans and he are very fortunate that he didn't hurt anybody. So unlike somebody was
everybody is lucky that nobody was hurt.
So
it's a good thing that the cops pulled him over. Yeah.
All right, so who does your team play next week?
Oh yes, we get to lose the next 2 weeks, which is why I was happy. Like Denver and Green Bay was really important. Like that was a really, really important 2 wins because we get to play Cincy and Philly the next 2 weeks. So we're gonna lose the next 2, which is fine because where we sit now, because your guys, like as much as you guys hate our teams, like I said before, as much as you guys hate my team and we're gonna be one and done, if you guys would actually win games, you wouldn't have to watch it. But you guys aren't doing that. So like as it stands right now, I was doing the math. All Tennessee has to do out of the next 7 games is win our 3 remaining divisional games, and we win the division no matter what.
Yeah,
that's it. All we have to do.
So
we just have to
win
3 more games.
Win the division regardless.
I just have to win. I just have to beat Jacksonville twice and Houston once, and we win the division. And which is fine because our non-divisional games that are left is Cincy, Philadelphia, the Chargers, and the Cowboys. So. Those might be the only 3 victories.
I actually think that the Titans can beat the Bengals and.
Well, here's the thing. I think I would have the Bengals is one where I was like, I'm a little on the fence about, mainly because of injuries. The way we stepped up against Kansas City put a little bit of confidence in me, just because of like defensively, they're really good when they're healthy. Like I'm really sick of Bud Dupree getting paid $20 million a year to play a game and a half of really good football and then miss 3 games.
Right.
Like I think Danico Autry looks like he's going to miss some time. He may miss at least one game, but Danico Autry is really important. I need a defensive front healthy. That's what I need. So coming into this stretch where everybody's banged up, I don't feel that confident about it. So that's why I was relieved to have Denver and Green Bay victories, because now I can sort of be less stressed.
You're picking the Bengals to win next week.
Yes. Well, like our secondary is terrible. And if our defensive front is not good, like here's the thing, since he played a really good defense in Pittsburgh last week, and I think Joe Burrow was sacked maybe once.
No, I think Pittsburgh sucks. I think Pittsburgh's not good. I disagree with you on that. I think if the Titans play 75% of the way that they played against the Packers, I think they can beat Cincy.
We played phenomenal against the Bengals in January of this year. And still lost that game.
Yeah, but the shine has come off the Bengals a little bit. The Bengals caught lightning in a bottle to an extent. The Bengals have not had as good a year.
Chase is gone. He's done, right? He's
not done. He didn't even go on IR. They're thinking he might be back this week.
I thought he did go on IR.
Unless that happened today. I was hearing that they think he might even be back this week.
I thought it was a knee injury, but
I don't know. I listen, the wounds are still fresh. I try to avoid Bengals news wherever I can. But I think that the Bengals are the better team than we are. I think I get like the way that our defense played against Kansas City. I was like, maybe we can get a surprise win in the playoffs, but I ain't even banking on that. I don't even care that much about getting a victory this week or next week, because I won the 2 games that we desperately needed. Our 2 winnable games. That's what I call them, like the 2 winnable games. We got those. So now I just worry about the divisional games. That's it.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you guys can beat the Eagles, considering the fact
I'll take it. If we do, Eagles, I'll take it. But if not, it's just not the end of the world for us right now.
The Eagles barely beat the fighting Jeff Saturday. So let's talk about that game, Chris Jackson. What happened?
What a great. I like that.
That was a great finish. I like that.
That was great.
I like that. Good job. Yeah. So yeah, my expectations have been extremely low. But Jeff Saturday is kind of like revitalized, reinvigorated, if we want to say. I don't even know if that's a word, but let's just go with it. Yep. But I mean,
Matty Ice is back, baby.
Okay, sure. So no, but I mean, it was refreshing to see that it looked like they implemented Jonathan Taylor from the very beginning. The first drive was basically just him running the ball the whole entire time, capping it off with him getting a rushing touchdown. The defense was really holding Hurts, the run game. It's just like they were really stopping them. I mean, to the tune of this is, I'm going to say, probably one of the best offenses in the league, only scoring 3 points through an entire half. Then things started to get weird. We stopped really running the ball the way that we were. And then we started passing it, to which, I mean, we started playing into Philly's hands. Their secondary was just they were just on us like flies on shit. There was I'm not one of those people who talks about like refs and things like that, but I mean, when you have something where, plays usually get blown dead after about 3 to 4 seconds of teams like battling back and forth, and you see it go on for much longer than it's supposed to, you're just like, I don't like the way that this is looking.
Yeah, that fumble by Jonathan Taylor
was a little weird, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you guys are fortunate that it ended up being a wash just because of the subsequent drive. AJ Brown fumbled it again.
Yeah, but you know what? But the problem that I have is with those things is that, we watch games, like we watch games outside of our actual teams, and so we see how procedural they are with certain things. You see how, even when it's just like 3 or 4 guys just kind of battling, they'll whistle the play dead after.
It's not the first time though that a play like that has gone on when you didn't expect a whistle, but it's more rare.
It's weird when you see it. It doesn't happen outside of that, yes, but it's just like it was strange. But
it's almost like the delay a game call. You know how like when the clock goes to 0 and it sits for like 2 solid seconds and they don't throw a flag, you're like, wait, what? They should have clearly been able to match that up, but sometimes it happens. But it
seems like every officiating crew calls that a little different. Same with the whistling, the play is dead too.
Yeah, but but the thing is also, we had opportunities. I think, the biggest thing that I like about Jeff Saturday is that he hasn't shied away from, letting it be known exactly, what it is. I think it's just like he's established a big trust with the coordinators on his team. So, he's not calling offensive plays. That's Parks Frazier's job. He's not calling the defense. That's going to be up to Gus Bradley. And I mean, for the most part,
like a great job. Doesn't have to do anything. It's great. They should have brought you in.
No. What the great thing is, even with Gus Bradley, outside of him just wanting to just use Brandon Faison repeatedly, even though he gets beat like a Cherokee drum, like it doesn't make sense. But at the same time, it's just like, I mean, the defense has been great all season. It's just, let up that one play at the end where the Eagles just drew up a great play based on tendency. And I mean, at this point,
one play,
guys too.
What's the one play you should stop? Is the run up the middle with Jalen Hurts.
That's
the one play you're supposed to stop.
Yeah, but they explained it. Like on that play, when you see Jason Kelce firing out, if the running back's following, then generally Jalen Hurts is following behind there. So what they did was they bit on Jason Kelce and I think it was Miles Sanders running over to the right side. And so the person who's supposed to be covering the hole, he runs over there where Kelce and Sanders are going. And that's why he had like the Red Sea to just run up and go to touchdown untouched. So
the play was just performed.
It was. But the thing is, you expect that from Philly because I mean, Philly's playing lights out this season, and I mean, it was a great play by them. Like it's not one of those like, oh yeah, the guys holding on to the ball. Yeah, like that was a beautiful play call. Like if you're gonna lose the game, it's just like that like losing to something like that. It's like you can't do anything about that. That's great football.
The way I looked at it's like almost like how it was with Kansas City, to bring it back to that one, where it's like if the game is 55 minutes, you guys are winning. You guys win the game. But just one last stop. Just couldn't
look. Jeff Saturday is making a resume for himself. He's not he's not doing a bad job. Like I wouldn't mind him coming to Houston for an OC.
It's just so bizarre though that he got like it was just sort of like, was he even in the building? Like is he even?
He was a consultant.
So basically, so Jim Irsay does this thing where he generally has like a lot of his former players just either consulting or with the team in some type of capacity, right? Like how he did with Robert Mathis and how Robert Mathis was training the guys that were coming in.
Isn't Reggie Wayne on the coaching staff?
Yeah, Reggie Wayne is on the coaching staff officially as a wide receiver coach, but Jeff Saturday was a consultant before. Basically, Jeff Saturday was a consultant to where he was kind of like helping with, some of the younger players, trying to just like give Jim Irsay some insight on different things. This move right now with Jeff Saturday, I think is a fantastic move because, if he wins, fantastic. He's building up the resume, as you said, Matt. But the thing is, if he loses, you get to see exactly what needs to possibly change from an outsider's perspective, just looking at the team. I think with Chris Ballard, he's a little bit too close to it because he's been, responsible for going and drafting these guys and building through free agency, which he doesn't do. And you have to see if it's just like if there's any way that you can salvage what's there and maybe add on to it, or if you have to basically just like gut half of each side of the ball and then say, you know what, we're going to have to rebuild through once again free agency and the draft. So, I think honestly, like having him there, especially when it comes to energy, because I mean, he's the complete opposite of what Frank Reich was in terms of energy and actually like getting the guys going.
Speaking of Frank Reich, did you see that the Eagles coach was like super butthurt in his press conference about Frank Reich being fired?
Yeah, he's a pussy. He's a pussy. The problem that I have with that is he took his personal relationship and he brought it onto the field when the problem is that Frank Reich wasn't delivering. So you wanted Frank Reich to be here so that you can go and do the whole smile at each other after you beat us by 30 points.
He had the game marked on the calendar so that he could, hey, I could see my old buddy over there or whatever, right?
But that's
they spoiled it for me.
But that's dumb. I mean, if you see everything that happened during the season in terms of play calling, everything like that game, if coached by Frank Reich.
Hey, listen, I saw the Colts play live in person. That guy deserved to be fired.
Yeah, but I mean, but Sirianni, it's just like to have beef with a team that got you to that position. It's like it doesn't make any sense. Like you were an OC for us, and then you went like he's a pussy. Like
and you don't work for them anymore. What do you care what they're doing? Like
it's like if you and a girl have a mutual breakup, like it's just like, you know what, this just isn't working out for us. And then like you see her somewhere else, just be like, yeah, she deserves all the bad shit she gets. It's just like, but wait, you like
what? Like a girl you dumped, you get mad that like. Yeah,
she moved on.
What are you talking
about? Shut up. Like, yeah, that was
him jumping up on that bench, like shouting at the fans in the stands at the end of the game it was weird, man. It was weird.
Yeah, they said that reminded them of Patrick Beverly when the Timberwolves won the game at the end of the season last year. Like, what are you doing? What are you celebrating? What are you doing? It was dumb. And I mean,
you made fun of the Titans for acting like they won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if this was the NFC East, fan battle podcast, we'd talk more about the Eagles. But
yeah, exactly. But, trash.
Speaking of trash, Matt Briggs. Well, actually, hold on.
Who do you play? We just finished talking about the Jaguar Stadium.
Sir, that's rats, not trash. Who do the Colts play next, Chris?
I don't know, but I hope we lose. You know what? At this point, I'm generally not one of those people who's just like, you know what, just looking forward to the draft. But I mean, I see why people do it now, because at this point, it's like this team isn't going to go and win any type of – they're not going to go and win a playoff game. They're just not. And then on top of that –
you got to get there first.
Even if you do – but the thing is, even if you do go to the playoffs, what's the point of risking a first-round exit and then drafting even lower? It's just like we potentially need to get our quarterback. Hendon Hooker is hurt, so he will be rehabbing. Might be able to get him for a later pick and then, maybe put an asset into getting an offensive tackle. But, yeah, I don't see it. Nika says that she hopes the Colts lose too. Thank you, Nika. I do appreciate that. And by the way, Jalen Ramsey is all your favorite players.
Oh. How dare you, sir? Jalen Ramsey, never heard of her. Sounds like a nice lady.
Yeah, I think that's what the Colts should be doing. They should be trying to because the quarterback thing didn't work. Like, you guys had a really good roster in place, but the quarterback seemed to be the thing that was holding you back, right? And you haven't been able to sort of figure that out. But it almost feels like you might need to build out some more pieces too, because that defense is past its prime, I think.
No,
they're still good, but I think they've wasted their best.
When it comes to the Colts, it's the offensive line. Matt Ryan wasn't that bad this year. He really wasn't. But Matt
Ryan's never been bad.
I don't know. He played here in Jacksonville a few weeks back.
I was there.
Sucked it up.
I was there. That was Frank Reich's fault.
The offensive line is trash.
So yeah,
Nelson's the only good player on there.
But the craziest part about like the actual team is that like that O-line absolutely like Ballard hasn't addressed it, and he hasn't addressed it in years, ever since we lost Costanzo, who was our best tackle for the longest time. And so, now, and I said this, I was talking to somebody about this, but the quarterback position, going and getting a veteran quarterback kind of extends those expectations for about a year, because then you're looking at, oh, well, you know what, if the veteran doesn't work out, we can just get somebody else. But you see, it's just like, you can't continue to get 37-year-old guys. You have to eventually go and just draft the guy and then see what you can make it work.
Is there a guy in the draft that you guys can get, like, based on your positioning? Like, obviously, there's a lot of time to go, but is there a college QB that you guys like? I'm not a college guy, so I don't know who's coming in and out. I don't know who's coming into the draft.
Hooker.
I like Hendon Hooker. I mean, I know he just tore his ACL, which means that he's going to be out maybe like 10 months, whatever it may be. But the thing is, we still have Matt Ryan for another year. So no matter what, you're going to have to retool in the offseason. And then on top of that, if you have somebody like a Hendon Hooker who has to heal anyway, he's basically going to be learning behind Matt Ryan and then just like seeing exactly how the offense works.
2 years for Matt Ryan. That's why you were able to do that, because you conned Washington into taking Carson Wentz contract.
Yeah, but he's not playing, so now that's going to be a third.
I know, but still, like, I was like, you paid Carson Wentz all that money, but I forgot that you got Washington to take the whole thing.
Yeah, they did.
Washington, how stupid! Oh my!
I personally hope that the Colts win out, and that the Jaguars are able to sweep the Titans, and somehow the Colts win the division and make it into the playoffs, just so that the Titans can't get to the playoffs, and B, the Colts can't.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's possible. I mean, if we don't like it, like I said, I'm saying that if we have to win the 3, that's true. If we lose to you guys,
that tie,
which I think we could lose to Jacksonville very easily.
That tie could come in the Colts' favor if that happens.
Yeah, because if it ever comes down to that, that's a half a game advantage. Yep. Yeah. So
Speaking of tying.
All right, Matt Briggs, let's talk about your terrible team. Oh, he disappeared. R.I.P. Matt.
Right. I mean, just like the Texans. Look, Josh, me and you've been saying this the whole year. The Jags and Texans both been playing games where they're being in it. They make it interesting, but just can't pull the trigger to win a game. This game was complete garbage. It wasn't even that. This was the first official blowout of the season. I'm done with Pep Hamilton. He can go back to Indianapolis and start sucking it up there again. I'm so tired of seeing curl routes after curl routes. And 3rd and 1, the whole stadium knows what you're going to do. You're going to run it up the middle with Dameon Pierce. I'm just over it. I'm making Tyler Heineke look like he's an all-pro. Which he's not a bad quarterback, but he's not an all-pro. I'm over it. None of you probably saw it, but Lovie Smith got into it with a Houston Chronicle reporter asking.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I mean he got livid. I was like, oh, we're about to be a Jim Mora incident right here going on. Yeah, but the guy asked him why didn't you bench Davis Mills, and he pretty much says, Davis Mills is the quarterback.
Who's the backup?
Yeah, I say what is
Kyle Allen is the backup.
Yeah, why would you? Yeah, I mean Davis Mills, as much as he's not good, he's definitely better than.
Well, I'm not saying Davis Mills. I'm done with the Davis Mills train. I got off, punched my ticket. You can move on. But Pep Hamilton is so horrible at play calling, and the schemes. He just ruined them. It's time to move on.
Are you guys getting the number 1 pick?
Yeah, right now we got the number 1.
Right now.
You think it will?
It pans out
that way?
Yeah.
If they keep game planning like they did, everyone has figured out that the Houston's just Dameon Pierce is your offense. Right?
Well, he's so good too, though.
Well, here's the crazy thing: is that
guy's good.
When we do run the ball, and then do this thing called a play action, Davis Mills actually looks really good. I mean,
except when he throws pick sixes.
Right, curl routes. That's what I'm saying. every pick six he's thrown has been a curl route because that's all. Pep Hamilton,
Those curl routes,
hey,
though, like those things can be disastrous so easily.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, you know what we're gonna do?
Well, especially when the defense knows that's what you're throwing, right? And that's what we saw on
Exactly.
Sunday was
All it takes is a cornerback that knows his stuff, and it's like
that's the thing that
money
pisses me off is the first half. It seems like they handcuff the offense of doing these curl routes, these dumbass 3rd and 15. Let's throw a wide receiver screen and get stuffed 3 yards behind the line. Like, why? Why are you doing this? And then the second half comes and it's like, all right, let's open up the playbook and let's throw the ball. And so it's somewhat what works. Like, Davis Mills had that interception, but that hit the hands off of Brandon Cooks, and the guy just made a great catch to pick it off. But I don't get it. Like, what are you doing? And Lovie Smith, I love Lovie, but I think it's time to go. Like, his type of play calls, his defense it don't work in the NFL no more. Zone defense is terrible.
Well, either that or you guys just simply don't have the personnel to pull it off, right?
Well, you have to have like in Denver, not Denver, but Chicago. He had a Hall of Famer linebacker in Byron Lecker. Mm-hmm. He had a hell of a pass rush in Lance Briggs, and then he had a great corner in Peanut Tillman. Like, that don't happen all the time.
Yeah.
So you got to switch it up. You got to call blitz. You got to call band defense. He doesn't do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because he comes from. Yeah, he comes from a place where it's just like you have to game plan for the run and the pass. You know, it's just like you're not just game planning for majority pass and then some running plays that are basically just play action.
The Texans are making running the football popular again in the passing league. Like, come on, man.
Listen, like, I got Damian Pierce in my fantasy league, and watching him get powerbomb like that yesterday, that scared the hell out of me.
I thought his goal was going to leave his body.
And he was flagged justly for it.
Yeah, I'd say they got a flag for it, but I was like,
and then Brandon Cooks, all it took was him missing one game check, and all of a sudden, all that beef he had with the organization.
He's still pissy, and they got his.
He wanted out. Yeah, he really thought he was going to get.
Yeah, he ain't pissed enough to keep skipping all that money though. That he's
right. Well, yeah. Well, that. But
we
pissed to keep dropping.
We got bills to pay now.
Right.
Exactly.
He still dropped the ball.
I think with Brandon Cooks, it was so sort of like he was in the mindset of like, well, I'm not going to be in this building in December, so who cares, right? And then all of a sudden, oh crap, I'm still here.
Well, with Brandon Cooks, he was a big Jack Easterby guy. Jack Easterby,
probably one of the few.
Well, actually, there was quite a bit of them. Jack Easterby actually married him and his wife. So
they got like a threesome going on, huh?
Yeah, kind of like Antonio Brown and Tom Brady and them, They put the keys in the disco.
That's completely different.
Lord,
because apparently they were some swinger stuff.
I want Pep gone, but sadly I don't see him leaving until Lovie Smith is gone, and I don't see Lovie Smith being gone by the end of the season because.
So he's not gone in the offseason, you're thinking?
No, you can't do that. With everything going on with the Brian Flores situation, and you just got rid of David Coley, and now you get rid of Lovie Smith, even though we have the most.
So you think they'll keep him into next year, or you think this offseason they'll can him?
No, he's not going to get canned at all.
But what if they get
the only way I see him gone?
What if they get Flores?
He's retired.
What if they hire Brian Flores? What if they fire him and hire Brian Flores?
They're still going to get criticism for it. I mean, they did it last year with David Coley. Even though nobody expected David Coley to get that Texans job, everybody was upset because he got fired. Even though he wasn't supposed to get, he was the Jeff Saturday.
His job was just to be the Band-Aid.
Right.
What's Bill O'Brien doing these days?
That's not Jeff Saturday though. It's just like I'm gonna say Cully. He underperformed as a coordinator, but he was at least he'd been a coordinator for like decades.
He wasn't even a coordinator. He was a coach.
Okay, so but his job was more like. Do you remember when
he never was a? Do you remember when he was never offensive coordinator? Nothing. He was.
Remember when Jim Harbaugh got fired from the Niners after they had that little run there with Kaepernick, and then they brought in that one guy for a year.
Brian Kelly.
No, he was after. Was it Brian?
Yeah.
No, it was no. It was.
There was one guy in between Kelly and Harbaugh, and that was his job, was to be there for 1 year until we can sort of figure out what our pieces are. And that's what Coley was.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that guy. It's just like he was screwed.
Here's my plug. If you watch the Texans Fan Battle podcast, we had Aaron Wilson. We had Aaron Wilson on the show, and he said that Nick Casario was about to pull Jim Irsay and hire Josh McCown as the coach with no experience.
That's right. I remember that.
But the owner Cal McNair vetoed it and went after Lovely. So Lovely wasn't really. Brian Flores was supposed to be our coach,
but he still could be.
Now you can't. He has a lawsuit against us. He can't. It's whatever you want to call it. But he can't do it.
That's right, because of the whole Dolphins thing.
Yeah. But here's my goal.
That one random head coach was Jim Tomsula.
That's who it was. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
But here's my thing.
I see his face. He looks like he works at a casino as a pit boss or something.
Good old Jimmy Tomsula.
Yeah. But here's my goal. I want the Raiders won, so I want us to lose out until we get to the Browns. I want us to beat the Browns, so that way we can have 2 top 5 picks. So there's my wish list for Santa this year.
2 top 5 picks. Huh?
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. I guess we didn't talk about it at that point.
He's numbers. The Browns have the 6th pick in the draft. I mean, the Texans have the Browns 6th pick in the draft. So
gosh, who do you take?
What's Deshaun Watson going to look?
What's that?
Who do you take with those 2 top 5 picks?
I mean, a lot of us want a quarterback, which I don't blame them. I do too.
Trade for.
I do not want a quarterback with Pep Hamilton as OC. I do not want nobody holding up their growth as a quarterback. I want defense. I want Will Anderson, and I want the defensive tackle from Georgia. I can't think of his name right now. Carter. I want Carter. Yeah. Yes. I want 2 big old beasts on the line. Like, I'm tired of getting run all over. So go defense. Get some weapons next year, and hopefully you're in the position to pick up Caleb Williams, because Caleb Williams to me is the Patrick Mahomes 2.0.
I don't know about that. He looks super talented, but he's still a USC quarterback, and I just don't see it with the USC quarterback. Like
he did with Oklahoma before he did with USC. So I mean, the dude's doing it wherever he goes. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's just I don't know, man.
But a whole year of football. I mean, 1 year of football is like 20 years on the body. So I mean, who knows? He can get hurt. So, but yeah, that's who. And we play the Dolphins next week. So if you
congratulations on another loss.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. If you want to win your fantasy game, make sure you go trade for Jeff Wilson Jr. because he's about to have a hell of a game. Yeah, he's going to run for like 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill's going to run all over the ball. Yeah, it's going to be.
Jeff Wilson Jr. sounds like one of the fake names that used to like populate for the NCAA EA football game. Right?
Yeah.
Jeff Wilson Jr.
Or a name Dale Gerbil off of King of the Hill would say. Yeah. Jeff Wilson. Yeah.
All right. So I guess that's it for our idiot teams this week. So where can I find you guys? Chris, what's your tell us about your show? Tell us where we can find you.
All right. At CJ Colts Fan on Twitter. And You Don't Know Jack podcast, also known as Colts Fan Battle, will be broadcasting on Tuesdays, 9:00 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, tune in tomorrow as we get full in-depth, absolute ridiculousness about this team we call the Colts.
All right.
I'm still waiting to get on there.
Nope. You missed out. I literally told you what day, and you were nowhere to be found, Agent Ha. Okay, I don't know exactly what type of removal you had going at that time. I know that you said you were going to Ohio for the roller coasters, but yeah, you're not gonna listen. You don't have to use your government talk with me. You don't have to use your government talk with me, sir. Okay, I know what's going on.
Speaking of which, Agent Ha, has RJ Elson asked you to be on the new Titan show?
I doubt he. Well, first of all, if he even knows how to find me, I doubt he would want to, because Titan fans hate me. So.
All right. Well, hey, Titans
It's
fans.
funny. The Titans fans are very interesting because, behind closed doors, they're very much like me. But it's like when they start talking with you guys, it's all of a sudden like they're just completely different. It's like, oh, how could you say things that are true about our team to like the divisional rivals? It's like as if they can't see it.
Every fan base does that. Every fan base.
Yeah. All right. Well, since we can't find you anywhere, I guess there's no point in asking where you are. But
Spotify, previously on football. That's my show.
Oh, that's right.
Every Fridays.
Previously on football.
Or Mondays. If I'm not on here, it's going to be Mondays.
Gotcha. All right, Matt Briggs, how about you?
A1 Day One Texans everywhere, and then you can find my podcast on Wednesday nights at 9:30 Eastern PM. The Texan Fan Battle. You can find that everywhere. We're gonna have defensive tackle Moby Koye coming on the show, so check it out.
Nice. All right, and you can find me on Twitter at Josh Gives Up, and Tuesday nights on the Jaguar, where this week we will be discussing our favorite rat meat recipes. So if you have one to suggest, we might even put a cookbook together, maybe do a fundraiser for charity. So
can the Titans fans comment on that instead of doing raccoons? They just sub in rats, or what? How's that work?
Titans fans can suggest their Titans fans can suggest their favorite mayo-based sauces for the recipes.
Okay.
I'll throw in a few suggestions.
I'll let them contribute that way. But
when is the show? Is it Tuesdays or?
It's Tuesdays, usually around 10 o'clock.
Perfect.
We try to not interrupt the You Don't Know Jack podcast. We try to wait till they're done.
That gives me plenty enough time to sort of whip up some recipes that I can submit.
That actually, I have an idea, Matt Briggs. We should talk about. I'll text you for an actual thing we should do. But all right, so this has been another wonderful foray into the sadness that is the AFC South, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Peace out. Sam loves Jalen Ramsey.